and welcome to On the Block. I'm your host, Joe Vafari. I'm here with Brandon Graham.
It's happy to be here once again.
Ron Davis.
What's up, world?
And Mike Roach.
Happy to be here. Let's get this thing going.
I hope you guys are happy. We got some important topics to talk about. We're going to start off with the Toronto Raptors first. To say that the Toronto Raptors have struggled out of the All-Star break would be an understatement. They've been the worst team. Now, this is a team that came out of the gate very strong, but they faltered as of late. Is this a cause of concern for the Raptors?
I mean, the Raptors aren't looking too good right now. I don't know what they're going to be doing in that first round of the postseason, but right now they can't even worry about that. They got to worry about what they're going to do in these last 18, 19, 20 games that they're playing. In 8 of the last 10 games, the Raptors have given up 100 points. They're terrible on the defensive end right now. In post-All-Star game, they are the worst team in the league, going 1-9 in their last 10 games. Offensively, I mean, these guys are strictly a jump shooting team. They need to understand that they have to penetrate and get, break down the defense, get into the lane, and get easy baskets. In the postseason, you're not just going to be just getting into the postseason playing against, well, right now they're fourth. If they stay in fourth and the Wizards stay in fifth, I don't think you want to go up against the Wizards in the first round for the Toronto Raptors. Absolutely not. You want one of those lower seed teams. You want to try and end up at least in that third seed, so you can go up against the sixth, which I believe right now is the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Raptors need to focus on getting to that third seed to try and make their first round of the playoffs easier for them.
They've had a rough stretch. Pretty much almost all the teams have had a rough stretch during the season.
Who are they good enough to beat in the Eastern Conference that's an elite team right now?
Never
It doesn't
mind.
look like Chicago, it doesn't look like Atlanta, and it doesn't look like Cleveland.
At the moment, no, it doesn't.
The number one problem I think you guys haven't addressed yet is there's no sense of urgency right now. After the All-Star break, having that big win against Atlanta, by double digits, whatever you want to call it, DeMar DeRozan acclimating himself, have a great game, Kyle Lowry having a steady game, Amir Johnson, who's struggled over the past, he's played 9 games or so right now, they haven't had a sense of urgency. They realize that they've locked up the Atlantic seed. Now you want to get to the point where you are considered as one of the best teams in the East. No one is playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're not playing with any sense of urgency. That's all I got to say about it.
The team is struggling right now. There's nothing on the offensive end. There's nothing on the defensive end. If you can summarize this team in one word, I'm saying inconsistent. From DeMar, defense, offense, Terrence Ross, Kyle Lowry, the whole team's been inconsistent. Yeah. Is there one pillar that you can say that this team represents? What do they do well?
I agree. There is definitely a lack of urgency with the team right now. To be honest with you, I'm not too worried. Essentially, they were performing at the beginning of the season. I know that Mike always refers back to the point that this is what have you done for me lately league, which is true, which is very true. And the Raptors haven't done a lot for anybody lately. I just think that everybody was humming a different tune at the beginning of the season. Prior to All-Star break, everybody was humming a different tune. So, with that said, I'm not too worried about the Raptors. I think that they do have a solid core of players, and they can beat pretty much any team in the East. Right now in the lineup, I know that Terrence Ross is back in the starting lineup for spacing out the floor, shooting. James Johnson should be the starting 3. I think Patrick Patterson should be starting power forward, and Amir should be coming.
But he didn't produce when he was inserting to the starting lineup. Patrick Patterson didn't produce.
And I'm going to stop right there because this is all about coaching, I think, what it comes down to. But right now, you guys are talking about rotations. You guys are talking about coaching strategies, their defense, their offense. Is this personnel of the players, or is this on the coach right now?
He's not the one playing right now. He's working with what he has in his system right now, and this is all he can do. He's trying to formulate the best situations for different situations in the game, different rotations altogether. Inserting Terrence Ross, it does increase spacing, but at the same time, he's an ill-advised shooter. He's always going to be an ill-advised shooter right now. He gets the ball, he shoots the ball.
And
it's
you drop
really
off
bad
on defense too.
Exactly, because he gets exposed consistently. So they need to find a balance where they can all rely on each other in the starting lineup and have the white squad as in the second unit to come in and produce as they've always done at the start of the year.
The Toronto Raptors roster is kind of similar to the Atlanta Hawks in perspective where they don't have any superstar.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
But the Hawks will go to the finals for sure, obviously.
Well, the Hawks play completely different than the Toronto Raptors. They play defense, they play offense as well.
And that was the point I was alluding to, is that if the Raptors are playing together as a unit and figure things out, and the coach figures out what his lineups are going to be, the players know what they're going to be
producing. But it's not, you can't put it on the coach. When are the players going to take responsibility for themselves, for the way that they play? They have to do this now. They have to understand that, like you said. urgency.
That's it.
It needs to be done now.
The season's coming to an end really quick, and so is the segment right now. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the NBA trade deadline, who won and who lost some of these deals. Welcome back to On the Block. Now, we spent some time talking about the Toronto Raptors, but right now we want to talk about the NBA trade deadline, some winners and some losers of these deals. Let's start off with the Portland Trail Blazers. They ended up getting Aaron Aflalo.
It's unfortunate because their starting two guard, Wes Matthews, actually went down with an Achilles injury, untouched. Really unfortunate, but having Aaron Aflalo adds the extra insurance, so that's great for them. But there is no doubt that the OKC Thunder are the big winners in this trade deadline. OKC adding Kyle Singler, DJ Augustin, and most importantly, Enes Kanter from the Utah Jazz. It gives them an interior presence, have Ibaka, play on the post, have the mid-range jumper and do what he does. But having Kevin Durant out, it kind of adds extra insurance that they can have a guy to rely on, not only solely on Russell Westbrook. So it's great for them.
They kind of got help at every position. They got Singler in that deal on the wing. They got Augustine at the point. And they also got a big man in Kanter. So they're kind of covered everywhere. It's a win-win for them.
I agree. They definitely came from a perspective where people thought that OKC was a team that had no depth. They had incredible players, for a while, but they just didn't have the depth, right? And now they actually have that depth. And like you mentioned before, when we were in the back, anybody who faces them in the first round is going to have a hell of a time.
Absolutely. They're a very scary team to play in the first round, especially without healthy Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. I mean, Golden State is going to have to watch out when they play these guys in the first round if OKC ends up in 8th and when Golden State, I'm assuming, keeps the first spot. That's a scary matchup for them.
And when Kevin Durant gets healthy, because those two guys together with Russell Westbrook on the spree that he's on with the triple doubles, it's going to be tough.
KD can pull up for 35, 35 feet, KD pulling up.
And OKC has a lot of depth also in the front court, which they haven't had in a while. Speaking of front court and additions, let's talk about the Mavs. They got Amari Stoudemire, and hasn't really, not to say that he was going to be the guy that changed anything, but they've kind of struggled, even with Rondo. You get two guys that are kind of ball dominant in an offense where the ball keeps moving.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure that anybody really expected Amari Stoudemire to be, that guy and really do what he was doing previously on some of his other teams. But I mean, he's a guy who can get you some rebounds. I mean, hopefully he can play some type of defense. He's not that great of a defensive player, but they're hoping he can do something on the defensive end and make some free throws for you, get to the line, and make possibly some good plays for Tyson Chandler, both of them being on the block. Just do anything. They need this guy to do anything. I mean, it's not like they signed this guy for a lot of money.
No, it's more of like a rental deal, right? Like they wanted to help him for this run, and they've kind of struggled. And speaking of getting guys for a run and maybe an under-the-radar kind of deal, the Celtics getting Isaiah Thomas. Now, this is a guy, we're talking about Phoenix, who unloaded everybody. Now, the Celtics find themselves maybe a couple of games out of a playoff spot. This is a team a lot of people slept on, and now with the addition of him, they might make a run for maybe that 8th seed.
It's possible that they can make that 8th seed, and I mean, we all know right now the way it's seeded is that Atlanta will be the #1 team in the Eastern Conference going into the playoffs, but Boston could be. Okay, who we kidding? They can't be scary. There's no chance. But you know what? For the future, keeping Isaiah Thomas, I did think for the future they were going to go with Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
But
I think he's starting for them now. They just wanted some 6-man scoring to help them.
You know what? Isaiah Thomas is absolutely phenomenal. This kid is a warrior when he gets out onto the court. He gets buckets. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's going to continue to. He's definitely a piece that, that they should love having them on that Boston Celtics roster.
The Suns definitely lost getting rid of that guy.
The team that actually faltered the most, I think, were the Suns. Getting Brandon Knight, going from the 3-guard.
He can ball,
Thomas,
though. He can ball.
Isaiah Thomas having Goran Dragic and Eric Bledsoe on that team, including Isaiah Thomas. Now having Brandon Knight, Eric Bledsoe, and I'm just not too sold on this team.
I don't know what the Suns are doing.
I don't think they know what they're doing right now.
Kind of like we don't know what the Sixers are doing either. And letting go of MCW, I don't really know.
Jason Kidd loves him, and that might be another great move.
Which is
for
amazing.
A team.
No, it's a great move for Milwaukee. But what were the Sixers? What were they thinking?
Hey, they want to tank once again to get another Joel Embiid or something. You never know what they want to do. But
they're having an overload of these guys now.
Like it's an overload of tanking though. Like you tank to get MCW.
Absolutely.
and then you get rid of MCW to tank to get another guy who you may potentially based on
okay.
if it's starting
And
you're gonna get rid of that guy that you're bringing in this coming.
And
year.
also another guy they got rid of,
KJ
who was his name?
McDaniels.
KJ McDaniels. One of the guys that, a lot of teams went
man.
after, a freak
It's a
athlete,
glimmer of
to
hope
get
for them.
Isaiah Cannon for.
He was nice.
Now you have Isaiah Cannon starting for you right now.
But-
We don't want to spend too much time talking about the Sixers. Let's be
Absolutely.
honest.
I don't wanna
Let's
bring
say
it.
the Sixers
Nah.
lost this.
Let
the
me tell
Sixers
you
lost.
this. A team that actually benefited from this trade, the Bucks. The Bucks right now sitting around, I believe, 6th place right now. MCW adding Tyler Ennis, who actually has had a positive impact on that team, starting for that team right now in the point guard position. As well, adding Miles Plumlee that has, progressed in Phoenix, but now I think he'd be the great piece for the Milwaukee Bucks. So they've definitely added some people on that team with Chris
How
Middleton.
come we've not addressed the illegal movement of what's happened in Cleveland? Yes. Does anybody out there know,
Well, you know
what that
what,
might
guys?
be? Because that was an illegal
When
setup.
the
I have
trade
no idea.
happened, everybody looked at Denver because Denver teams to win every trade they do, whether it be the Carmelo one or this one. They got 2 first-round picks. Now, they might help Cleveland out right now, and when it happened, people were kind of like, how's this going to affect them? They've obviously gone on an incredible run,
Yeah.
but they did give up 2 first-round picks. And the Cavs, how could they lose any of those trades that they did? Sure, they're not looking to build for the future. They want a title now and next year.
Yeah.
Now.
And with Shump, J.R. Smith, and Mozgov, this team looks completely different than the team that the Raptors beat up in Cleveland, and a team that a lot of teams beat up on.
Executive of the Year, LeBron James. That's all I'm going to say right now because he controls everything that goes on. People,
He
these
must be
players
paying
want to play
somebody
with
off.
them.
He's like,
That's
I'll
it.
hook you up with all my LeBrons for the rest of my career. Somebody's getting paid off because that was illegal. I don't know how you can do that. Like, come on.
Who's going to stop them?
Hey, it is what it is.
Executive of the year is Danny Ferry, but
It is what it is.
you know what? Cleveland is good, and Kyrie Irving. Like I'll just keep it simple with you. They're a good team right now.
They are
And Kyrie
solid.
Irving is just a straight up beast.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Cold-hearted
7
killer.
for 7 last night. He
mean-
had 57 points. Like he went off last night.
Well, I'm not even calling him Kyrie Irving. I might as well just call him the
Kyrie
bus driver.
Buckets.
Yeah.
Who's
Kyrie
he gonna
Buckets.
give a
Yeah.
window seat now too, baby?
No way.
I mean, seriously, just keep adding guys to the list because Kyrie
Yeah.
Irving just went off on the
On a
Spurs the
night
other
where
night.
LeBron kind of had his hands full with
Yes,
Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Kyrie had his hands full with Tony Parker as well, but he just took over that
Yeah,
game.
he was like,
And
you know
just-
what?
he-
I'm gonna drive this bus to
You know
couldn't
what?
miss.
I mean, Kyrie Irving is just special, and he's one of the most elite point guards in the game. He's going to continue to get better. LeBron is definitely lucky to have this guy on his team. Number one, he's one of the reasons why he went to that team in the first place, because he needs. Kyrie Irving's a superstar. He's not just a star or an all-star. He is an absolute superstar. Okay, and you know what? Before I saw the Bulls as being that number one spot, that team that you're going to have to beat to come out of the East, but now I see it as Cleveland.
Cleveland looks like the team to beat. When we come back, we're talking about some awards. When we return on the block, we're going to go to Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and also Most Improved when we return on the block. Welcome back to On the Block. We're going to hand out some awards right now, and we're going to start off with Defensive Player of the Year. Ron, who's your pick?
I'm gonna go with the gentleman who shares the same surname as myself. Of course, Anthony Davis. Fear the brow. I mean, honestly, like averaging just about 3 blocks a game. He's a complete difference maker on the floor. When he's on the floor with the Pelicans, it's a completely different team as opposed to when he's off of it. I really don't think that there's much of a question mark there, personally.
Yeah, but I mean, of course you're going to go with him because when he puts his arms up, he's as tall as the CN Tower. But I got to go with Draymond Green because Draymond Green has just improved defensively since the minute he stepped into this league. He's a forward. Number one, this guy can guard almost anybody on the floor. He's guarding forwards. He's guarding shooting guards, point guards. He can even guard centers if he needs to. And this guy is just doing absolutely a phenomenal job. He can move his feet. He can bang with the bigs, and he can get up to contest shots. Draymond Green is the Defensive Player of the Year.
I would disagree because I feel like when you watch Anthony Davis play, even from his days in Kentucky, you see that he has a 25 and 10, and then you're going off and you see the rebounding stat line. You're like, oh my God, he had 10 blocks, 7 blocks, 8 blocks consistently. Even when he's injured, comes back, has a great showing on the defensive end. there's no doubt in my mind that the committee that are choosing these awards will definitely take Anthony Davis.
For sure. I like to revert back to numbers. And with the Brown on the floor, their defensive rating is 104.3. With him off the floor, it's 110.1. That's a big difference.
He's going to alter a lot of shots. And speaking of altering a lot of shots, Marc Gasol, he won it last year. Memphis Grizzlies, a team that we all kind of agree on is always a legit contender. Sure. With him and Randolph, Marc Gasol also can guard you both the 4 and the 5. He alters a lot of shots. Very good job defending the pick and roll, getting his arms up and chasing down some point guards. And another guy also, maybe with some honorable mention, Rudy Gobert in Utah. Now, this is a guy that's 7'1" with like a 7'6" wingspan, blocking a lot of shots, rebounding, and even when he's not getting those numbers, he's altering a lot of shots.
Of course, he's just doing a great job. But once again, from defensive to most improved, the guy that I would like to choose is Draymond Green. You know why? He's just, as you said, done everything since coming out, starting now for the Golden State Warriors. And that's the award I would give him over defensive. He's been the most improved player the entire year, and there's no doubt in my mind. Number 1 team in the West, and he's a facility. One of the bigger roles in that team is Draymond Green.
What about a guy like Jimmy Butler, who started off kind of on fire, actually? He's had some injuries, but this is a guy that's been probably the best defender of LeBron James that we've seen in a while. And when he's on the floor with Chicago, they're a better defensive team.
Absolutely.
And also, obviously, with Joakim Noah and Gibson and all those guys. But I think that he kind of sets the tone up top to guard usually the other team's best swingman.
Personally, I think a better defender than Jimmy Butler this year, even though he won't probably get a nod for Defensive Player of the Year, guard-like Kawhi Leonard. I feel he has more of an impact defensively. That's why I wouldn't give it to Jimmy Butler. But once again, I said Draymond Green would be my guy.
Let's go MVP talk right now. And we're going to stick with Golden State, the team with the best record right now. Who do you guys think? Is Steph Curry the MVP, sorry? Is Steph Curry the guy?
Hey, they're on the brink of winning probably 67 to 68 games this year. He's facilitated the team. He's spread the ball. He's showed you something you're like, what did he just do? Something that we haven't done for a long time, especially with LeBron James. But Stephen Curry is my MVP because he's been on a tear as of late. A guy coming out of college no one expected this from. Just sure heart, grit, and determination, the best player in the league right now, by far. No doubt about it. Steph Curry.
Is he the best player in the league, guys?
He's one of the best players in the league, yes. The best player in the league? I don't think so.
Who do you got?
I'm going with Russell Payne, Train Westbrook. That's what I'm that's who I'm riding with. The guy's averaging a triple-double after the All-Star game. It's huge. Their team, I know that we just talked about them extending their depth with their trade, which is great. KD's out right now, and Westbrook has to put the team on his back. Just the numbers that he's putting up video game numbers. That's ridiculous. I can't do what he does in real life. In 2K15. I can't do that.
I can do it. I just changed the difficulty, baby. But I'm going with James Harden, all right? James Harden is the man because James Harden gets buckets, baby. That's what I'm talking about. James Harden, 87% from the line. He's number 1 in free throws taken, 9.6. He's number 2 in scoring. When he got suspended for kicking LeBron where the sun don't shine, what did he do when he came back against Detroit?
He went off.
38, 12, and 12. Listen, there is nobody more valuable to their team than James Harden. If you take James Harden off the Houston Rockets, that team is... who would be comparable to that? The Sixers?
No, you're not going to go that far.
Okay, I won't go that far.
You're taking it on a limb.
What's Mike do?
I won't go that far. But honestly, without James Harden in that lineup, Houston would be a pretty bad team. Who are we kidding right now?
Well, absolutely.
Who are we kidding? Speaking of guys that if you take them out, what does their team look like? Cleveland. Now, we know that Cleveland's had some additions, but LeBron James has won this MVP more than once. And this might be his year maybe to win it again. He keeps that team together. He does everything on the floor. He rebounds, he assists, he scores, he passes. What doesn't he do? He's the GM. He's the GM of the team.
He just doesn't shave his hair. That's literally all he does.
You know what? He took off the headband and he's brought his game to a different level right now.
Yeah.
And I think people are scared right now. Remember that playoff series last year when the headband came off?
Yeah.
LeBron got scary.
Ish got real.
This is my thing with James Harden. I feel he's the best at step-back jumpers, but he's the best as well with early playoff exits.
He's taken 10 free throws.
He's early playoff exits. The Rockets will probably not go too far in the playoffs. I feel like the Stephen Curry as well will go a lot far.
If you take Steph Curry off Golden State, you take James Harden off Houston, who would be the better team?
Well, we don't know that because Steph Curry...
Who would fall more?
All right, we don't know that because Steph Curry...
In your opinion, who would fall more? Houston or
personally-
Golden State?
Hey, I feel that.
Just answer the
Golden
question.
State-
You can't answer.
doesn't want to
He
say
doesn't
it.
want to
He
answer.
doesn't want to say it.
All right, James Harden's my
All I'm
MVP.
gonna say is Westbrook's averaging numbers that are comparable to the great Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and so is James Harden, because James Harden is about to be the only player on pace with Jordan and LeBron James to average 27, 6, 5, and 2.
I see you reading that paper over there.
Yeah, you're damn right I'm reading that paper. I'm about to do it again. James Harden on pace to join Michael Jordan and LeBron James with at least 27, 6, 5, and 2 steals in a season.
Doesn't matter.
MVP.
All right, against the Suns, poured in Steph Curry speaking. 36 points on 14 of 24 shooting. Overall, 7 of 13 from 3. When has James Harden have a game? Well, he's had games like that, but consistently, put it together consistently on that team. Number 1 team in the Western Conference right now. When has he done it?
James Harden's the MVP.
There's no, okay. Steph Curry's the MVP. There's no point.
You know what?
Russell
You guys,
Westbrook's the MVP.
you guys all raise good points, but Anthony Davis is another guy that might be able to sneak in backdoor if the Pelicans win, get a playoff spot.
He will be a future MVP.
He will be. I think
He's
that
sure, because Steph Curry's this year.
we'll all agree on that. We're gonna have to wrap up this episode on the block. We're gonna see you guys next week.
Steph Curry.
James Harden.
Russell?